presents highlights of the RFS Magalies 400 at Tarleton International Raceway.
The RFS Magalies 400 signalled the end of a long and hard ABSA Off-Road Championship, with this year's event again based at the impressive Tarleton International Raceway facility on the outskirts of Krugersdorp.
Although the core business at Tarleton is drag racing, the facility is a multi-user complex with the off-road community at home in the colourful and well-organised pit area. For the second year, the RFS Magalies 400 was sponsored by competitor Chris Deploy's Retirement Fund Solutions Financial Services Company.
I think we're all fanatics in motorsport. That's the main reason. But we want to plough something back into the community with motorsport, and we think it's a good idea of doing it.
As is often the case at the final event of the year, championships were up for grabs. One of those involved in a tight title finish was Dewald van Breda.
No, nothing aggressive, no crazy things. The thing is just to finish, that's the main thing, and then you can take it through. To try and go for a win and not finishing by overshooting would take it away.
Dewald van Breda was locked in a Class D battle with reigning champion Cliff Weichelt. And down in Class E, Jannie Visser and Joks Leroux were after back-to-back titles.
The pre-race competitors' briefing always culminates in a draw for start positions for the Friday prologue to determine start positions for Saturday's race. There was a lot of light-hearted banter, with Anthony Taylor and Hannes Grobler first out of the hat in the production vehicle category.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you base an event at Tarleton, it's almost obligatory to have a little fun on the drag strip that is a match for any similar facility in the world. Anthony Taylor and Hannes Grobler led off side-by-side runs on the quarter-mile strip that did not count towards scoring for the event.
The forays onto the drag strip elicited a great deal of interest among competitors and enthusiasts. The exercise also raised a few eyebrows when the Nissan Navara of Duncan Voss and Ralph Pitchford set the fastest time.
The fastest time in the prologue went to recently crowned South African champions Duncan Voss and Ralph Pitchford in a Donaldson Nissan Navara. For the three-car Nissan squad in the Premier SP class, it was the end of an era following Nissan's withdrawing from off-road racing. Looking for their sixth win of the season, Voss and Pitchford reported a clear run and were 23 seconds ahead of Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the RFS Toyota Hilux. Visser and Badenhorst were having their second outing in the rebuilt RFS Toyota after a huge Sun City 400 accident.
Privateers Gary Bertold and Andre Vermeulen in the Atlas Copco Toyota Hilux completed the top three in the prologue. The Highveld 400 winners cut it a bit fine and were just 1 second clear of the father and son team of Hichu and Jaap de Bruyn in the Micron XL Toyota Hilux. The de Bruyns had not had their happiest of seasons, but are always top 5 candidates.
Punctures were a common malady on a route that moved one competitor to observe farmers in the areas grew rocks. Ivar Tollefsen and Quinn Evans were victims of a puncture in the second Donaldson Nissan Navara. Tollefsen and Evans were busy changing the wheel when Hein Lateghan and Chris Birkin streamed past in the first factory Castrol Toyota Hilux entry.
The Nissan crew were not the only ones to suffer when it came to punctures. Anthony Taylor and Robin Houghton in the second Castrol Toyota Hilux were also victims.
The enforced stop dropped Taylor and Houghton down to 6th place behind teammates Lateghan and Birkin. The Castrol Toyota was followed by Terence Marsh and Peter Groenewald, who came up with another workmanlike display in the Regent Racing Nissan Navara. Behind the Regent Racing pair, Ivar Tollefsen and Quinn Evans were mobile again and pushing hard to make up time. Teamwork is high on the list of essentials when it comes to successful off-road teams, and despite comprehensive roadbooks and aids like GPS navigation, it can still be a tricky business. The unfortunate Nissan pair picked up another puncture 7 kilometers from the finish and drove to the end on the flat.
A puncture, a wrong slot and a stalled engine that refused to start made it a tough afternoon for veteran former champion Hannes Grobler and Johan Moore in the last of the Donaldson Nissan Navaras. While Grobler was saying goodbye to Nissan after a 33-year association, a much newer recruit in Leroy Poulter was stamping his mark on Class E in the Ferodo Nissan hardbody. Poulter and Rob Howie cracked a top 10 placing and were around 2 minutes quicker than the next Class E car.
Reigning drivers' champion Cliff Weichelt and Johan Smallberger led the way in Class D in the N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux D4D, with the pair chased all the way by Pikkie Labuskaghni and Rikus Erasmus, who were second in Class E in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux. Behind the 4x4 Mega World car, former champion Manfred Schroeder and Gavin Gray were having their first outing of the season in the factory Ford Ranger, with the pair deputizing for regular crew Bapi Rubuluza and Kulile Vakaliza, who were tied up with exams. Schroeder was a little ring rusty, but was happy with third place.
The Horn brothers, Johan and Werner, were second in Class D in the Malalan Toyota Land Cruiser and looking for a repeat of their Toyota 1000 Desert Race victory. The Mpumalanga pair led home Christian de Plooy and Henk Janssen van Vieren in the RFS Toyota Hilux, who also have good Toyota Desert Race memories. It had been a disappointing season for Thomas Rundle, partnered by Ward Huxtable on this event, and he was looking for a return to form in the turbo diesel Ford Ranger. Back in action after suffering a serious back injury on the first event of the year, Chris de Plooy had the experienced Henny ter Steege alongside him in another RFS Toyota Hilux, with the pair slowing down to see if Willem and Dana Vos needed help after rolling their Toyota Hilux.
A prologue can make or break a race, and Ford Racing's Neil Woolridge and Kenny Shortheimer were on the back foot.
It was great until we had a fuse that misbehaved slightly, so we spent about 15 minutes on the side. It was just popping out, overheating in the dashboard. We had some heat build up there.
Being first on the road in the prologue or a race has its pros and its cons. No dust is an obvious advantage, but sweeping the route has disadvantages.
Actually, the first 20 kilometers, thought I might get away with it. The route was fairly straightforward, wasn't too tricky. I thought, it's not too bad. In fact, no dust and things might be a good thing. And then it got tricky and technical, and we really struggled. It wasn't impossible, but you're never 100% sure. A lot of rocks, a lot of lurkers. You're the first to arrive at them, and it cost us a puncture.
On tough routes, there are times when to err on the side of caution is a good thing, and Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst chose that approach.
I thought at the stage we were overcautious, but yeah, luckily we just tried to not have flat wheels and flat tires, but it was very nice. The first section was a little bit just flat out to the corner, flat out to the next corner, but then it became just very, very tight, and the rocks was just unbelievable, just a hell of a lot of rocks. We were just really cautious.
Three of the four special vehicle category championships had been settled before the RFS Magalies race, with Evan Hutchison and Kim Bergman overall and Class A champions. Class B had also been settled, but the situation in Class B was fraught with possibility. 1 point separated the top two crews, with Rurkan back pair David and Gary White doing battle with reigning champions Johan and Etienne Besaidnout.
Yes, that's right. We're just 1 point behind the Besaidnout brothers, and I'm pretty sure they're going to lift their game. We're going to have to lift our game to finish in front of them. And I suppose it's all or nothing. Flat out from the beginning to the end, and see if you can finish in front of the Besaidnout brothers to take the championship.
Class B waters were further muddied by KZN driver Don Thompson, who was only 5 points behind in the Drivers' Championship.
And I think we left it to too much work to do at the end, and I think, we can just definitely have to give it once today and do our best there. We've got to win today. That's the least we can do.
In black and white, the 10th championship situation at the top of Class P, which this season has grown in terms of numbers and competitiveness.
The Special Vehicle Brigade also had their little bit of fun on Tarleton's drag strip, and again, results did not count towards overall scoring. Evan Hutchinson, Achim Bergman, and the Harper father and son team got the ball rolling. But it was Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau who earned bragging rights for the specials. They set the fastest time of the day with the total porter stopping the lights at 13.77 seconds with a terminal speed of 166 kilometers an hour.
Out on the route, Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman took full advantage of the Motorrad Revo 1 4x4's capabilities to cruise home by over a minute in the special vehicle prologue. The pair were looking for their 5th win of the season in what has been a special year for Hutchison. He also won Class A7 in the Sasol Rally Championship in the Motorrad Toyota Runx to notch up a very unique double.
There was something of a surprise when Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar brought home a futuristic-looking Century Racing CR2 in second place. The car is normally driven by Corbett's father Ernest and runs in the Class P Championship. Corbett and Balzar had 19 seconds in hand over third place Nick and Ryan Harper in the Atlas Copco Bat. The Harpers were involved in a battle for second place in the overall championship, with Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the total porter, and just 2 seconds separated the two cars at the finish. Also in the picture were Toyota Dealer 400 winners Nardis Alberts and Jeff Minnett, who completed the top 5 in the Rapsa Bat.
6th place on the prologue went to Highveld 400 winners Gerard Du Plessis and Fabry Serges in the aging Jimco. Du Plessis and Serges are flyers, and while they were making good progress, disaster was heading the way of Herman and Wichard Sulwat in the Sulwat Racing Zarco.
Crews call them lurkers, and hidden dangers along the route account for a high percentage of retirements in off-road races around the country. A rock just off the track turned the Sulwald father and son combination into instant spectators.
At first glance, it looked as though the Sulwat Racing Zarco had suffered a front left puncture, but closer inspection revealed more serious damage.
Not good. Yeah, no, that's that, eh? No, I didn't see that, so bad luck. End of this prologue.
A slow motion rerun illustrates just how destructive and dangerous lurkers can actually be.
The dejected Sulwalds then decided on a course of action that would possibly help other crews avoid a similar fate. They started to remove rocks from the side of the track. It was hard work, but indicative of the spirit that exists amongst the off-road competitors.
By the time Jan Kraai and Andries Voigt arrived on the scene, the track in that region was a lot safer. The Kraai-Voigt combination had 27 seconds in hand over championship leaders Johan and Etienne Besaidnout in the Edenko Bat. Such is the spirit in off-road racing that the Besaidnout's father Bez, out of the championship since mid-season, lent championship challengers David and Gary White bits and pieces of his car to help challenge his sons for the title.
Third in Class P went to impressive rookies Johan van Staden and James Rousseau in the KEC Bat. They were just over a minute behind Kraai and Voigt and 37 seconds behind the Besaidnout brothers, while Derek du Toit and Ian Pienaar again dominated Class B in the Orange Tree Bat. The Sulwalds were still stranded, and the Cape crew gingerly manoeuvred their way around the stricken Zarco Magnum. Du Toit was looking at his 5th win of the season, with Pienaar, who missed the last event, in search of his 4th win of the year.
The Century Racing back team of Simon Beckett and Tim Curtis was second in Class B and just over a minute behind Du Toit and Pienaar.
There was a clean run for Keith and Andrew Makinete in a Zarco Light. In their first year of racing, the pair showed plenty of perseverance to lie second in the championship, but they were around 5 minutes off the pace set by Du Toit and Pienaar.
Back at home base, the Whites Class P title chase was in danger after they failed to finish the prologue. Over at Century Racing, the atmosphere was a lot lighter.
Yeah, well, today we didn't take our Class A car out. We decided to take my dad's Class P car out, and we drove quite hard. It took me a lot to convince him to let us use his car, but we came second overall, which is quite a good result, I think, for a Class P car against all the big V8s inside it.
There was plenty of evidence in the pits of tyre damage, with Evan Hutchinson stressing how important it was to stay on the track and avoid the lurkers.
Yeah, critical. I mean, that's why the bakkies are so far back. I think, being first on the road here would have been very, very difficult. It's that Impel and Darber rock, which is really, really gnarly. So a couple of guys did have punches, and we thought we were going very slow, taking it easy through the rocks, but obviously that was the right thing to do. it was the same last year. You know, there was a huge amount of rocks out there and a lot of dust. So you're going to need to be wide awake tomorrow to get it to the finish without getting a puncture.